Good evening, dear friends. Good evening, dear friends. Good evening, dear friends. We meet again all together Friday, 21st of April. Time is flying, and I'm calling you today. I'm in Ireland, close to the airport, so you might hear the planes flying by. I hope that you're all doing well, and I promise to keep you posted whenever there was something new happening or going on. So I hope that you can all hear me and see me properly. As I said, I promised you before that whenever something was happening or was going on, that I would be in touch with you. And something is happening. Something is happening. Something very, very big is happening. So that's why I decided to tell you. So look, we are adults, and a lot of things are happening. We don't know where these things are going. Good evening, Paul. How are you? How is Galway? So it's time to think what can happen and prepare accordingly. Okay? So what is very clear at the moment is that the people organizing all this mess in the world, they don't seem to want to stop. Yeah. And what seems to be happening is that things are getting worse and worse, and people are less and less informed. Even the Americans themselves are getting scared of what is happening, yeah, because it's a lot out of control. And remember, at the beginning of all of this crisis, I told you that people have to get in communities and have to get out of the cities. And I couldn't figure out why people should get out of the cities. There are many reasons for that. And there are many disruptions happening at the moment. And for every disruption, you have to be prepared. We don't have any guarantees or thing like that, but at the beginning of the year, I told you there'd be a major event between, the end of April and beginning of June. So the month of May, there would be a kind of a geomagnetic disturbance. Geomagnetic disturbance can be from an earthquake, it can be from the sun, it can be from a nuclear bomb, it can be from anything. So this month of May, something might happen. We have to be careful. There are many things that you have to be careful about. The first thing is that you have to be aware that there's a change in the system happening, yeah? So before, when we used to talk about these things, people used to say, oh, maybe it's a conspiracy or something, but there are too many facts on what's going on. First of all, there might be a problem with the money as it is in the bank, yeah? So if you do have some savings in the bank, you're better off having them at home. The second thing is that they might go after people's money. So you're better off having, if you can invest in gold or something like that and have it if you have a lot of money just to hide it, or buy some assets, so if you can improve your house by putting solar panels, by generating your own power, do that. If you can buy an electrical car that you can charge yourself in your home, do that. And the system is that more and more it's clear what is happening. Yeah, the story is more and more clear that's happening. They are developing also alternative intelligence, artificial intelligence. It's very scary what artificial intelligence can do now, and it's very clear that this artificial intelligence is developed in a way that lots of human jobs will disappear. So when you put in all the things together, that they're trying to have a digital currency that they can control everything that we do. They're trying to reduce our human rights. Like yesterday, something big happened and nobody talked about it. A French publisher, somebody who publishes books, was arrested on his way to London to go to the book fair. And he was arrested because he participated in demonstrations against the government in France. So what does it have to do that he's demonstrating in France with the British government? They're in cahoots. The guy arrived to England and he was arrested for no reason. 6 hours interrogated, and they took away his phone and his laptop. What's his crime? He was demonstrating in Paris. So using the terror law, they arrested him in the UK. Do you think there's democracy there or anywhere in Europe? Okay. So they're taking away our freedoms. They are going to do something with the money we have in the bank. And a lot of people were treated that way, and some people will be dying because of that. They develop the alternative intelligence so that, if they get rid of some of us, they can still function. Remember, these people are. And so you have to organize for all of these things. First of all, remember to connect with likewise people, people that you can rely on and they can rely on you, like a community. We help each other. So we can share the resources. Because the shock is massive, you can have a nervous breakdown from it. That our own governments are actually playing a game on us in every country. They're not about the people, and for the people are as it's supposed to be in the constitutions, but they're actually for their own game. So create awareness around you of what is happening so that people can get organized and start getting organized. Now, understand about this artificial intelligence. It's not a nice thing, Now you have artificial intelligence making art, making poetry. So what's the use for human artists? Something very strange is happening, and the idea that they want to get rid of most of humans just to keep this elite or whoever wants to stay here, it is not a joke anymore. It is a real thing happening. So we should not be scared because the divine angels are with us all the time, but we have to raise our vibration. So remember to have your time off just to ground yourself and to raise your vibration. And very important that you find like-minded people and connect with them. Alone we can be lost. Alone we can be like all over the place. But if we have people that we can relate with, it's very important. And at this moment in time, a lot of people are scared. And as a consequence of the fear, a lot of people are in their own bubble. But if they are in their own bubble, it's not going to help. Being in your own bubble is not going to help. Hi Nasrin, how are you? Thank you for connecting from the States. Yeah, and they are replacing the humans, and they have made the humans more obedient. You see, most of the people who took the thing, they're not revolting. They are very much dull, I've noticed friends around me who took the thing, they are not resisting anymore. They are dull. So that is something that we have to know, and we have to accept that this is happening. Resources, 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 Again, I know we've done it before, but make sure you have enough resources of, long-term foods, long-term waters, because you see, they want to reduce the population by any way they can. They just want to do that, And they're cutting down on human freedoms. And anybody who talks differently does not appear in the main media. It is obvious to everybody. Gold is very important. If you have excess money, buy gold and hide it. It's so important that in Germany, the police has started to make a list of who has gold in their home. Imagine, they want to spy on you if you have gold in your own house. Can you believe that? The conflict with Russia and China is not reducing. The conflict is increasing. Recently, America borrowed from South Korea 500,000 bombs for the cannons because they ran out of them for Ukraine. It's not stopping. It is not stopping. They don't want to stop. And they are talking about Ukraine joining NATO, and that will be kind of a case for a much bigger war. Now, if you think that this whole thing just started a couple of years ago, you're wrong. I remember reading back in 2012 that then President Medvedev, who was in Russia, he was basically ordering the construction of 5,000 survival bunkers under Moscow in 2012. And I thought, this is very weird. Why he's ordering that? You see, they knew already that there's a big confrontation going on. The world order is being shaken. Before people had dollars, and dollar was like the reserve currency. You had dollars, you had reserve currency. Now, if you have dollars, the Americans can take them away from you. So China and India and Russia are changing the system, and that will not suit America. It will not suit them. And every time you had a big change of system, you had a big war. Britain was ruling the world for 100 years till the First World War. After the First World War, it became more confused, and the Second World War, America took over. Now potentially China and India and Russia can be a bigger economy than America. So that's going to create a problem. They continue to send weapons and they continue to do all of these games. And I thought they cared about our lives and they will not do a nuclear war, but I am wrong because they could. And everything made sense because, we said that people should be able to get out of the cities. And why the cities? Because the cities are potentially, if you're going to hit a nuclear bomb on somebody, you're going to hit the cities, not the woods. That would explain why a year ago in the UK, I think it was in Bristol, they told people you should be able to leave your house within half an hour with a rucksack and go to the woods. President Putin from Russia, responded then saying that they could reach the UK with 2 minutes, not with half an hour. So they are taking us maybe to that. They want to reduce humanity with the poison. They did not manage because lots of people are aware that this is a poison now. So maybe the next option is the war. And they don't seem to be stopping the war. Now I could be wrong, but even if there's a 10-20% chance of this happening, we should be somehow aware that this can happen. It can happen. So if it can happen, obviously the cities will be hit first. That's why we're saying to people, get out of the cities and organize some resources. If you have like a country house, cottage, whatever that you can go to, have water reserves, food reserves, energy reserves. That's the best thing you can. And obviously they borrowed so much money that the money you have in the bank has no value. So under which circumstance can the governments come to you and say, look, your money has gone? If there's a war. If there's a war and stuff is destroyed, you can say to people, sorry, your savings are gone, evaporated. You understand? So you have any savings of significance, either put them in resources, like you have a cottage, put a well, solar power, plant, and if you have excess, get gold coins. That's why they don't want people to buy gold. It's a very difficult environment, and it's very difficult to talk about this, but I decided to talk about it because it can happen. It can happen. It is not impossible. And the last thing that triggered me to talk to you was that even the American people themselves realize it can happen. You see, in the United States, the president has a bag with which he can trigger the nuclear war. And never before Congress asked the president to ask them permission before doing it. But now the Democrats in the states, for the first time in more than 60 years, are putting a request that the president cannot trigger a war without their approval. So if the US Congress is worried about that, and that's the first time this is happening in 60 years, you can understand my worry, don't you? You understand why I'm doing this talk to you tonight. Because I put all of the elements together that these guys are completely crazy and maybe they want to go there. Maybe they will not, There are people opposing them, like these guys who did the leak of the Pentagon. They're trying to stop the war. There are forces trying to stop the war because they know this is nuts. But there are forces who want to make the war. So, because we don't know the outcome for sure, I cannot say for sure there's going to be a nuclear war or there's not going to be a nuclear war. I have to prepare myself in both cases, correct? I'll let you say what you want to say, and I'm here with you, for you. We're here together holding hands. Nisreen says, I agree, people are withdrawing their money from the banks in here. Absolutely. And Nisreen, think about it. This money, that they have printed so much of, notes, they represent a trust in a country. But if a country has printed so much of them, what are they worth? Nothing. That's why you have this inflation happening now. This inflation is happening now not because of the war with Ukraine and Russia, is because of they printed so much money in the last 25 years that its thing is exploded. There's so much money in the system. because they just printed like there's no tomorrow. This is how they got themselves out of the trouble. Rather than taking the right decisions to manage their countries, it's like if you're managing a family, you see how much money you're bringing every month and how much money you're spending, and you try not to spend more than what you're bringing home. They went completely crazy. This is like a family that is overspending so much, they're just borrowing and borrowing, and then they borrow to pay the previous debt and so on, and they're spiraling out of control. And today, it's out of control for all developed countries, out of control for the United States and for Europe. Only the Germans and a few other countries have a control on money. Natalia said, I'm afraid they will not accept any cash more. That's why get yourself some gold if you have excess gold, and if not, invest in resources. Get yourself a second-hand electric car. It's ideal, and get yourself solar panels on your house. If you have solar panels on your house and you have an electric car, then you just drive. You don't need petrol. You don't need anybody. Yeah, I know. I know. You lost the signal, Nisreen. You lost the signal, and it's like suddenly everything shut down. So I'm using now. I'm using my phone for the internet. You know what we could be saying could be annoying others. It is very possible. It is very possible. You know what we could be saying is maybe annoying some people or what. It is really weird how everything just shut down. So now I'm using my personal phone for the internet. I'm just gonna have to charge it also to make sure it doesn't go off. So basically, for whatever reason over the last 10 years, they've changed the equation. They decided to go front on. And rather than finding peaceful solutions between the Russians and the Ukrainians, they're going for full confrontation. And if they decide to go to Crimea, which is now part of the Russian country, there will be a nuclear war. And the problem is they don't have a problem with it. Look, they bombed the Nord Stream, which was the place, which was the way the Russians were selling their oil to Germany. This is by itself a trigger for war. But the Russians are calm. They're trying to keep the game calm, not to escalate to the final thing. But the provocations are continuing. And the people who are running this show and making this problem do not have a problem with how many humans may or may not die. They are the ones behind this thing. They know that millions of people will die from it. So they don't have a problem if a few more million will die. At the beginning of the year, I saw there's a geomagnetic event in May. It could be anything. It could be an earthquake, it could be a solar flare, it could be anything. But it also could be a kind of a nuclear war. Anything is possible. So when things are like that, we have to prepare. That's it. 80% chance it will not happen. I'm very happy. We're all happy. But because this is happening, I thought we share the information. You have the information as much as I have it. You prepare yourself the same way I prepare myself.